Games with Names is presented by WynnBET. Listen, betting is a team sport, so why not bet with the best? And that best, WynnBET.
6th of November, 1999, Mountaineer Field, Morgantown, West Virginia.
Trailing 2019 with under a minute to go in the fourth quarter, Michael Vick took his Hokies 58 yards in 7 plays to set Shane Graham up for the game winner.
This is the Miracle in Morgantown. Hello, and welcome to Games with Names, presented by WynnBET. I'm Julian Edelman.
I'm Sam Morril. We're here searching for the greatest games of all time.
All time. In today's episode, great game, Virginia Tech versus the West Virginia Mountaineers. November 6, 1999, for the Battle of the Black Diamond Trophy. And our guest,
Michael Vick.
First thoughts.
I mean, just Michael Vick being fast as hell. Elusive, quick, incredible.
My first thought is he stepped up in the pocket like a pocket passer when you watch these games. Like, he get that long drop back, step up, let that DN get up there, and keep his eyes downfield. I mean, everyone always has this notion and this thought concept that freaking Michael Vick is a guy that used to just take off and run, but he was slinging that thing. People forget how strong of arm he had.
Oh yeah, I mean, no question. And also, you're watching this kid, and you're like, he doesn't know he's about to be an icon.
Absolute icon. We were doing our little research. We were watching the Nike commercials he's in. You're watching the Madden covers he's in. You're seeing all the magazines he's on. I mean, he was an absolute icon, like you said.
Yeah. I mean, I think of Madden. I think of the video games. I think, like, everywhere. The commercials, everything.
You know what I think of? I think of the sideburns. It was the first time people used to thin out their sideburns. And I used to go to my guy and I'd be like, yo, can you give me the Michael Vick sideburns and give him a little thin, you know what I'm talking about? Remember they used to like thin them out a little and they'd be like a little V?
Yeah.
It's like, hey, yeah, can I get the Michael Vick sideburns? The guy looked at me like, yeah, all right, dude, we'll give you those.
As long as you stopped at the sideburns and didn't get the braids.
The braids, I mean, that was insane too. He always had the cornrows.
Oh, yeah.
That was like him and Iverson, both from the 7 cities. Both elusive, quick as hell, and huge. Huge as icons.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy that the 4 years, because I think Michael Vick, man,
we got to get Iverson on here. I want Iverson on here for the step over game 1 against the Lakers. They lost the series, but that was iconic.
We could probably get him, actually,
and let's get Ty Lue on with him, the guy he steps over. Come on, that'd be fun as hell.
It'd be very fun. But you know what else is fun?
What?
Going over November 6th in 1999. On this day, in America, The Bone Collector was the number one movie. Was that with Morgan Freeman?
No, it was Denzel.
Denzel?
Yeah, Denzel Washington.
I remember that a little.
Young Angelina Jolie.
Smoking
hot. Denzel plays I think
a detective.
Yeah, but he's bedridden. That he has to use his mind to find the murderer.
A quadriplegic ex-homicide detective and his partner try to track down a serial killer terrorizing New York.
That's a bummer.
That's a tough way to live, you know. Yeah. That's when you look at yourself and you think you had a hard day and you say, man, it ain't that hard.
Yeah, it's really not.
It really isn't. Also, number one song, Smooth by Santana. Was that with Matchbox?
Yeah, Rob Thomas. Yeah, that's a great tune. Cool lyrics. This life ain't good enough, right?
Yeah. I actually sat next to him at a party. At the Clive Davis party once. Him and his wife had an absolute great time. Wonderful people.
Yeah, Santana's a legend. I mean, this song is literally like the woman in this song he's talking about sounds unpleasant.
I don't remember the lyrics.
Pull up the lyrics. It's something like, this life is, I'd give up my something. Look it up because I'm going to butcher it, but it's like, zoom in a little bigger. and you said this life ain't good enough, I would give my world to lift you up. I could change my life to better suit your mood. Who is this woman you're with? She sounds like a nightmare.
That's a high maintenance. That's high maintenance in the high maintenance category where, maybe you gotta move on.
You got to move on, or you got to write a banger. I mean, I think he won all kinds of awards for this album.
So who wrote it? Was it Santana or was it Rob Thomas?
It's a good question. Let's look that up.
I'm sure it's Santana. If it's by Santana, that means it was.
It's got to be.
They're giving Santana the writing credit. Looks like Rob Thomas is getting featured artist.
Oh, there.
All right.
Thank you, Jack. Once again, coming up. The ridiculous trends. Pokemon cards.
I never collected them.
I was more of a Pogs kid.
Pogs had a minute. What was that, like second grade for you?
Yeah, I think so. Second, third, fourth. Yeah, Pogs with the slammer.
Yeah, the slammer. I remember that briefly for sure. I never did that.
Tech decks.
I don't know what that is even.
That's the little skateboard where you'd have with your fingers and you try to do an ollie.
Never tried it. I remember seeing these.
I remember vividly. Like I had friends that could do like kick flips and stuff. It just showed that my finger dexterity was not there to do even kick flips on a tech deck.
You figured it out. I've seen all the dates you've been on. You figured out that finger dexterity. Hey, speaking of Mambo number 5, Lou Bega. This song was literally just about a guy who fucks a lot. He was just naming women. A little bit of someone, something else.
It was a good song.
Great song, but
Yeah.
but it's literally like, how do you meet a woman after this and be like, yes, I'm a one-woman man? What's that song in the background?
That's crazy that this was that long ago.
I know. I remember that song was on the radio like crazy.
Everywhere.
Those one-hit bands, some of them like is it fair to call him a one-hit guy? I mean, in music, not in the romance department, clearly. But I mean, remember bands like How Bizarre, dun 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 dun, How Bizarre, How Bizarre.
Or what about Macarena?
That was a phenom. That was the least enthusiastic Macarena of all time.
Well, it reminded me of, remember when Austin Powers did it? He's
Yes.
like, yeah.
That's talking about classics.
I missed that. Fight Club premiered November 11th this year.
Amazing movie.
We've already probably, haven't we referenced that like 20 times in our podcast?
It's hard not to reference our age. I remember watching that on a bootleg VHS while my 7th grade friend was smoking a cigarette, trying to be cool like Helena Bonham Carter as she smoked the cigarette in that movie.
Yeah.
Brad Pitt was shredded. Ed Norton was the man.
Like, I didn't get it until I turned like at least 16.
Yeah.
I didn't
we
get
definitely
it.
didn't get
I didn't
it.
understand I didn't understand it.
Yeah.
So did they actually fight? I'm still confused.
I have no idea. It looked cool. David Fincher's a great director.
And I like soap, homemade soaps. And that's what they did. Remember, they would steal homemade soap material.
And it was the explosives, right?
Yeah, it was explosives.
And also, I mean, that Pixie song at the end, stylish as hell. Badass movie. I think I heard it was either Ed Norton or Brad Pitt in a podcast say they turned to each other at the premiere not knowing what they were walking into, and as the credits rolled, they were like, that's the coolest movie I've ever been in. That's gotta feel pretty cool.
That's gotta be insane. I mean, that was a phenom type movie for our like childhood. Like everyone knew Fight Club. That was when Brad Pitt was the coolest dude ever. He was in like every movie. Edward Norton was fucking the same thing, and to have those two collab and make this like really just cool, edgy type movie. It was something that was fun. Freaks and Geeks.
That was a great show. Apatow.
Wait. Who was it? Linda Cardellini?
Yes, well done.
Linda Cardellini.
We're pop culture fucking legends right now, dude. Look at us.
The only reason I know Linda Cardellini, I kind of, because she's from my hometown.
Ooh.
And so there's like a mix of circles where I think she knew I think she was like related to my mom's like ex-boyfriend in high school. And I remember my mom and dad getting in a fight, and I don't know, something about that. I don't know, maybe too much information. Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
But by the way, one more thing about Linda Cardellini. I believe, I could be wrong here, Jack, you might need to fact check this, but I believe Jason Segel getting dumped by her led him to write Forgetting Sarah Marshall. We're going to need a fact check on that, but we talk about, bad things leading to good things a lot in this podcast.
And Rabli Tov. Well, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Regis, R.I.P.
R.I.P. Legend. Love Regis.
Can You Call a Friend?
Yeah, that was big.
50-50. I used to love that. Can I get a lifeline?
It's huge. And then they tried to kind of go further with the weakest link, and I was like, all right. Remember, you are the weakest link. Goodbye. And you're like, let's get out of here. You're the weakest link. Regis was the man.
R.I.P. Regis. This is also R.I.P. to Walter Payton, who died at 45.
Unbelievable.
That was
Sweetness.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Was it cancer? He had, I think it was some kind of weird cancer.
Yeah.
That's sad to see. He always had one of those electric, room glaring smiles that everyone was just contagious to.
Yeah.
And he was just a fucking beast on the football field.
Beast.
Sports world, Wayne the Great Gretzky. Is that right, Kyler? Can I say it like that? But he went into the Hall of Fame. Tiger Woods wins his 4th straight PGA Tour event.
This is a cool time. Tiger on top of the golf world. I mean, was Tiger out pooning yet, or do you think he was still a golf focused dude right now?
I think this could have been mid heyday of that.
Really?
Yeah, 1999. When did he get his first win? 96, 97. So he's, Stanford kid.
Can you imagine how good it felt after just playing golf for 17 years straight? He's like, oh my God, vagina? This is way better than golf.
Yeah. Clear the old fairway. I'm bringing out the 7-iron. That's what he was saying a lot, I bet.
Not to mention, it's got to be like when those Amish kids come to New York City and it's their Rumspringer. That must have been what just getting laid constantly felt like for Tiger. He was like, this was not happening at Stanford with the big glasses, but now I'm crushing tours, winning major events. This is I've arrived.
He was crushing a whole lot of things at that time of his life. And what were we thinking about at this time, Sam? What were you doing? 1999.
I was 13. I was a kid. I mean, I what was I doing? I was probably playing JV basketball and smoking weed. That was probably my life. I mean, how about you?
Yeah, I was like, I was 13 too.
Yeah.
I was just playing sports, being a kid, running around, being a knucklehead, having my mom yell at me, having my dad chase me with a belt every once in a while. Just...
My mom would do a lot of the, when I'd be in trouble yelling, there's some nights we're proud of you. Tonight wasn't one of them. Or I get a lot of my mom going, Samuel. That's how I know I'm in trouble. When she goes, Samuel. No one calls you Samuel when things are good. No one's like, fuck me, Samuel. You're getting scolded.
It depends.
Yeah.
Depends on what fetishes people. Some people like that, maybe the full front name.
Some women have a full name fetish.
You never know. I tell you right now, when I used to hear Julian Francis, I used to just get terrified. Julian Francis.
I thought you were going to go the other way.
Nah.
Oh my God, Julian Francis.
I'm not going to say I haven't heard it. I'm just joking. Let's get into these goddamn teams, Sam. Get your fucking mind out of the gutter.
I'm sorry. I'm dragging us down.
1999 Virginia Tech Hokies.
Yeah.
11-1. Went into the national championship 11-0. Coached by the Frank Beamer and Beamer Ball. 7-0 entering this game. This was a big rivalry game for the Black Diamond Trophy. Played in the Big East. Had some crazy notable wins. I think 16 against Syracuse, 22 against BC to have the undefeated season going into the Natty. And then they lost in the national championship to old Chris Winkie, who bounced back as a 28-year-old, which I've never been a fan of. I've never been a fan of that. You want to know why? Because there was a guy when I went to Kent State University. He was like 28 years old. He was a starting quarterback at the time. I won't leave no names. I won't give no names. But you can look it up. And he just kind of punked me. I was 19 years old in a new part of the country, California kid in Ohio, and this guy was just a complete asshole. I didn't like it.
And you're like, dude, you're an adult.
Literally,
you're like, he's like the McConaughey in Dazed and Confused trying to punk you.
100%. Literally, just tried to use those older antics on you.
I wonder what he's doing now, though, dude.
Selling insurance, probably.
I bet he's not a 3-time Super Bowl champion with the New England Patriots.
Nah, he's actually a smart guy. He's probably doing pretty well. I think he's married, and I wish him nothing but the best.
I thought we were trashing him. Why did you bring it around like that? What the hell?
Because when we
I went full on trash mode for you.
Yeah, but
now I look like the asshole.
Nah, I was the asshole at the time. We were all young, dumb, and full of cum, and it's one of those things where you learn a lot in this podcast. As you guys will see when we interviewed Ricky Williams, some guy banged his girlfriend, the starting quarterback, and he had nothing but great things to say about him. And
Applewood.
Applewhite,
sorry.
Applewood
we still can't get his name right.
Applewood sounds better. So Beamer ball, which was a huge term for the Virginia Tech Hokies of this generation, which they played unbelievable defense, special teams, scoring, and that's what he was always known for. They blocked kicks left and right. Their starters played special teams, and the special teams were ran by the head coach. So, that was the whole Beamer ball. What about these 1999 West Virginia Mountaineers?
4-7, nothing super impressive. Coached by Don Nealon.
Mm-hmm.
Played in the Big East. 3-5 entering the game. Of course, you know the name Mark Bolger. They had Jerry Porter. Down year for the Mountaineers. It was the second to last season of the Don Nealon era, and they were coming off 3 straight bowl seasons. So things we remember, Michael Vick balled out that year.
Michael Vick, he rushed for over 609 TDs, passed for over 2,013 TDs, and he was a redshirt freshman. Like, that's great. That's pretty insane to have that from a young football player who didn't even play the year before, who said he got banged up in the middle of the year, didn't have an ankle. His ankle was all hurt. He rushed for over 600 yards with 9 touchdowns, passed for 2,000 yards with 13 touchdowns, all as a redshirt freshman. That's impressive for a 19-year-old to come in, first time he's played at a Division I level, and lead his team to a natty.
Yeah.
A nasty, nasty natty.
Third in Heisman voting. Ron Dane won that year.
Ron Dane,
former Giant.
Ugh.
Ugh.
Thunder and lightning.
Hey, Tiki had a few great years with the Giants.
He did. Tiki, they're good football players,
Yeah,
good team. It hits my heart a little bit, Could have had 4 Super Bowls.
It hurts, but it feels good for me. But Tiki wasn't on that team that beat you. Well, he wasn't on either of the team. He left the year before.
He did, didn't he?
Tiki didn't get the ring. It was Mattingly for the Yankees 1 year too soon.
Ooh, that's got to hurt. Because he was a big part of that Giants franchise. He was a beast.
Oh my God, Tiki Barber was he could catch it, he could rush. There were years when he was fumbly, but once Tom Coughlin came in, he fixed that.
High and tight. Keep all 3 points covered. Got to keep 3 points covered.
Yeah.
Ball security is job security. Ball
Absolutely.
security is job security. Things we may have forgotten. This game kept VT's national title hopes alive. It was a rivalry game. Yes, it was a shitty, 3-5 West Virginia team. But when you play in these rivalry games, record doesn't matter. Where you play doesn't matter. The time doesn't matter. All that matters is the guys in between the line trying to fight for the Black Diamond Trophy. And that's what we got. First half by Vick wasn't very good.
No.
And then
Mark Bolger didn't even play in the second half. He left the game.
Mark Bolger. Mark Bolger took over for old Kurt Warner.
That's
Mark
right.
Bolger, Kurt Warner.
St. Louis.
Kurt Warner.
And then Kurt Warner was still good. They fucked up.
That was the downfall of the Rams until as of recent.
Yeah. Now for the gaming corner presented by WynnBET. So what do we do for the prop bet this time? We got Michael Vick.
We got Michael Vick, but we also have Beamer. How many times can we say Beamer ball?
That's the culture, right?
When you think of Virginia Tech, there's 2 things you think of. Michael Vick and Beamer ball. We have Michael Vick. Now let's get Beamer ball.
How many can we hit? 5.5? Is that good?
It's gonna be tough, but I think we can do
To
it.
hit 6?
It's gonna be a tough one, but let's try it.
Let's give it a shot.
Let's try it. All right. We're going to hear from Michael Vick. Mike Vick. Michael Vick. Whatever he wants to be called. But until then, let's take a quick break. All right, folks at home. If you don't already know, it's time we steered you right. NFL action has finally returned, and if you're like me, you know the value of having a great team behind you. And that's exactly why I play with WynnBET.
Entering week 1, WynnBET has all your favorite markets and even a few exclusive wagers that you won't find anywhere else in the digital gaming industry. WynnBET has boosted parlays, season-long prop bets, and all the futures that you can handle.
Sign up today and use the promo code XGWN, and after placing your first $100 wager, you will receive $100 to bet with. There is another $10 casino bonus for those that live in New Jersey and Michigan. Again, the promo code is XGWN.
Terms and conditions at wynnbet.com. Must be 21 or older to participate.
And we're joined here on Games with Names presented by WynnBET by a fucking legend. An absolute legend.
Thanks for having me, man.
We got Newport, Virginia. Newport, is it Newport News or is it
Newport
Newport?
News.
Is that part of the 7 cities?
Yeah, that's part of the 7 cities.
I know the 7 cities.
Yeah.
We'll get into that.
Yeah.
Number 1 overall pick. He was the actual video game player that everyone hated playing against. If your boy picked him in Madden, you're like, fuck you, you're cheating. What the fuck is this?
You played with it, like, play with a pocket quarterback. This dude's going to, you hit turbo, it was over.
That was me. I wanted the pocket quarterback.
The thing is, we'll get into that. But let me just give you your kudos because you're such a fucking stud. I mean, he took the world over. He was like an icon, still is. And we're about to break down.
And then reinvented himself with the Eagles as more of a pocket quarterback.
Yeah, he was pocket there too. We'll get into that.
Shout out to Andy Reid for that, no doubt.
Without a doubt.
Make it possible.
But thank you, Mike, for joining us here on Games with Names presented by WynnBET. We're going to be going over that infamous West Virginia Tech game that you played your senior year on that crazy year, or fucking not senior year, your redshirt freshman year.
Yeah, redshirt freshman. Yeah,
I know. I'm tripping.
Yeah.
You see what I got on here, dude?
What you got on right there? It's bright. Oh yeah. You see, great minds think alike. You already know. What's up, baby?
I said Mike Vick's coming on here.
Wear some VT
shit.
Yeah,
gotta wear some VT shit.
Absolutely. See, I got mine on, and I just threw mine on. I just felt like if it went with the fit.
It has to. We're about to talk about it. This is the foundation of Mike Vick when he played at VT. Like you said, being a pocket passer. Like, people don't realize when they think of Michael Vick, he's a running court. No, you see him in the early stages, even back here. He would get these deep-ass drops. He'd keep his eyes downfield. He would step up. And you see with a lot of young quarterbacks, what do? They want to get up and take off. Not Mike. Mike would flip his hips, and he'd use that left arm and sling that thing 80 yards downfield, 45 yards downfield, 35 yards on a crosser, over a guy's hand. And he was just an absolute stud. Thank you for joining us, my dude.
No doubt, man. I appreciate the kind of words. Everything I did in those moments, I did it for all my teammates. That's what I say. Like, the sacrifice, especially being in college, being young. All you think about, you don't think about playing in the pros. You don't think about next level. You just think about winning that on that day.
Your number 1 overall pick, though, you weren't thinking like I'm gonna be a pro.
Nah, you know what? Going into my second year, I started to feel that way, but my primary focus was solely on winning. There was so many things in front of me, hurdles and obstacles. You got to win 10 games to become a Heisman Trophy candidate. So obviously, I want to be a Heisman Trophy candidate. I want to win it. So my focus, it was always levels to it. I focus on winning the game, focus on winning the Heisman. It was always something. The pros, I just knew that was a job, and I knew it was a hard job. So I had to make sure I was fully prepared before I stepped into that realm.
it's crazy. Well, people don't realize I was a running quarterback in college, or a dual threat quarterback, and like the scouting report, if you were a good ass dual threat quarterback, is you got Vick like tendencies. And like that was like the standard. If you were a kid that could throw and run, and they said you were a Vick type, like you were over here, it was crazy. And when I went to Kent State in Ohio, I wasn't good enough to play in these big schools like you guys did. But the sheer fact that we played Virginia Tech on the schedule is the reason why I committed to the school, because that's where you went, and I was such a crazy fan.
Okay.
And so
That's pretty dope.
It was awesome. Now, why'd you pick Virginia Tech?
I don't know. Honestly, I tell everybody that when people ask me, why did you pick Virginia Tech? Because I grew up watching big time college football every Saturday. And I seen the Clemsons, and I seen the Notre Dames and the North Carolinas and USCs. And that's where my eyes was locked in on those schools. And somehow, some way, Virginia Tech came in. They had the right people. Coach Beamer spoke the right language. He really locked arms with my mom. Like him and my mom became like besties. And when I seen that, I was like, all right, cool. He winning her over. He winning me over.
It's like a relationship. You got to make the mom happy.
Relationship, yeah. I mean, I seen like he was treating my mom with a lot of respect. Shout out to him. And I was like, if you do the same for me, I'll probably land on my feet, whether I make it next level or at least I get a degree, give me an opportunity. So, I just trusted him. It was more about trust than anything. And I think that's big in the recruiting process. It's about trusting the people who sit down with you or your parents and making sure, you can leave no stones unturned. He did that.
Yeah, definitely. And you redshirt your freshman year. You redshirt freshman year. You come out. This is 1999 season. You guys start triculating these wins. You guys start compounding these great games. All of a sudden, Virginia Tech was always a good program. But then all of a sudden you started hearing these natty vibes. And you come in and you play a West Virginia team that's not really anything special. But once again, if you people that play in rivalry games, it doesn't matter what records you guys have. Yeah. So, like, when you come into this game, are you like, we're going to blow these fools out, or what was going through the mind?
Nah, every game to me was so intense, and I've always felt like my preparation had to supersede anything. Like, okay, I could go out there and I can get stopped. I can take off and try to run for a 10-yard gain and get tackled for a gain of 7. But if I'm mentally sharp and I'm feeling good, I know, relying on my instincts, that I can really progress the team down the field in the passing game. So I started looking at it as the opposite. Like, if I can pass the ball just as good as I can run it, we'll move the ball down the field a lot quicker. So I put a lot of pressure on myself to just really be great in like every moment. But it started with my prep. I felt like if I came out of the film room and went into the game knowing exactly what they was going to do. Okay, you'll trick me here and there. You get me a couple of times. That's the game. If I can persevere and I can overcome like 85% of that, we've been the game. And like I led the nation in passing efficiency. Like I just tried to put a lot of time into my preparation. Julian, you know what that's about. Preparation, that's a word that, hey man, that's the cornerstone of your success and all the people around you, for sure.
Preparation creates confidence. That's where you get your confidence from, is through the practice reps, the preparation.
I mean, even for the both of y'all, just to make this show great, it's got to be prepped.
Thanks for throwing me in there, Mike. I don't know if I belong, but I'll take it.
I don't forget about you, baby.
Oh, thank you, man. I mean, first off, USC is kicking themselves for not being nicer to their mom, to your mom right now. USC, if you're listening, be nice to moms. You might get some pretty damn good recruits.
They in good hands. Let's see that.
How much of a rivalry was West Virginia and Virginia Tech in these days?
It was a big rivalry. It was a scary rivalry to a point where I heard so many stories about going into Morgantown, and it was a myth. It was a saying that they'll flip your bus. So I'm like, man, do I go ahead and try to win this thing, or do I go ahead and try to just make it a competitive game? And like, I don't want to get our butts tipped in the end. Like they said, they like acting like you can't make it out of Morgantown if you win. But that was part of the that was part of the competition, man. Like, it was a rough crowd, very intense. And if I can recall, like, I kind of struggled in that West Virginia game. Things didn't really click. If you go back and probably look at the numbers, they was probably like very, on par, like just with a bad, average day. But we found a way to win. We had a late game winning drive, and a game winning field goal. So that says a lot about just how competitive the game was. But man, them dudes, they had a good team, really good team.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, it was a battle throughout the whole game. I mean, you guys picked up a couple chunk plays when you hit up in that play action, hit the crossers. You had a couple of big-time runs. But it wasn't until you felt that.
Yeah, Snickle run down the sideline. Yeah.
Well, that was on that last drive.
Right.
Let's get to that. For West Virginia, they score. Mark Bolger's in the game in the first half. He gets hurt. They bring in some kid no one knows. He comes out, has some hero-type performance, gets them the lead with a minute and a minute and 3?
They left just enough time on the clock.
Yeah, it was
yeah.
They give you a minute. Now, when you have that ball in your hands with a minute to go, everything's on the line. Potential natty appearance, all the bullshit of playing against a team that's not as good as you guys. Like, when you're in that huddle, because I've seen the eyes of a fucking quarterback that is going to lead us down the field. What are you telling these guys in the huddle? Like, this is college, so it's completely different.
Hey, you know what's so cool? And I'll ask you a question for sure. I was playing that game with a heavy heart. Like, when you were in college, you're kind of homesick, you're away. It's my second year. I'm on the grind. We like 8-0. Now we find ourselves in this very unfamiliar situation with the team that we had. Everything out was always blowout leads and big leads. And now we find ourselves in a position where we got to fight to come back, and we got to earn it. We really got to go get it. And I remember my grandmother was real sick, had called my mom. So I remember that last drive, just walking into the huddle, like, I want to be able to tell her how great this moment was one day. Like, I thought about you in this moment. I know you wasn't feeling well, and then I went in and like overperformed in that drive. And thank God we had a great kicker. Shout out to Shane Brand. He nailed the kick. But, I just, I always told my grandmother when I was young that I wanted to play next level in the NFL. And I knew that was one of those moments. Like, if I rise to the top in this moment, and I don't make mistakes and I do it right, then at some point they're going to take into consideration this young man understands the game, he got poise, and his heart was into it in that moment, and that equates to high draft pick. So, when I walked into that huddle and say to fellas, it was like, we all got a chance to make history. We all got a chance to be a part of something great right now. Like don't it feel good? Like, to have the opportunity, and that's what it's about. It's about having an opportunity, bro. Taking advantage.
That's what big-time players in big-time situations do for their team.
I love the background, yo.
We got to get you on here. You got to send us something.
Yeah, man, let's see something for the wall.
Got to send us something for the wall.
How was that ESPYs party you two were at together?
Crazy.
Yeah, it was.
Man,
it was in New York. It was during that Super Bowl, I think.
It was during the Super Bowl.
It was Cipriani's.
Yeah, it's a bunch of good-looking people in the building. That's all. A great
including
night,
you two.
Yep.
It was fun. It was fun. It was the first time I got to meet Mike, and he, like I said, Mike's a legend, and to see how nice and like humble, and it was like when you get to meet your heroes, it's you don't have that like lasting picture in your mind, like, oh yeah, that's my hero. They always tell you shouldn't meet your heroes, and it was cool to meet Mike and see how just humbling and cool he was. He had this just coolness about him, like he has right now, just got that cool smile, give you that look, what's up, man? You know what I mean? It was just fucking.
I always thought Carl was cool from afar. I always thought, you and the whole crew, your whole New England crew, y'all did it big, bro. You got to get into that too.
We can. You play with Shane Graham. He lines up. You think he's automatic? Because I played with Shane Graham for a year. What were you guys like? All right, we got this. Shane Graham's got this.
Nothing like having a reliable kicker, I tell you that. I watched Shane like really not missing practice, and I paid attention because I feel like, the kicker is a weapon. It's really a weapon. Think about it. You get a good one. You cross that 50, you get it inching in, you almost guarantee 3 points. At the end of the day, it add up.
You always got having a swaggy kicker is always interesting because a lot of times the kickers get left behind in the locker room. There's a lot of guys that are assholes. You know what I mean? To have a swaggy kicker that could take the shit and like dish it also, that always makes it a little better.
I always remember the Peyton Manning thing where he's like, "You're a kicker." Remember that guy?
Vanderjack, remember that?
Oh, man. Yeah. You know what?
Go ahead. My bad.
Vanderjack had his day though. He had his time.
Huh?
Vanderjack, he had his time. He had a decent
career. But he forgot that he's just still a kicker. Like you still got to know your place. You got to know your place. Like I got nothing but respect for kickers. I've had Steve Gostkowski. He's kicked us into game-winning kicks and led us into Super Bowls. But it's still you still got to know your place. You're not on the field 100 plays a game.
Well, Mike, you were a part of so many cool teams. Where does this stack up compared to Falcons, Eagles, like all these cool teams you're on? Where do you place this?
Well, I mean, you always think about the locker room, like when you live in it, it's really cool. But when you move on and you think back to everybody, like the character that was in the locker room, I definitely think Tech locker room was special, man. And a lot of those guys I'm friends with to this day, just like a lot of the guys I played with in the NFL. But they all was special in their own way. And I don't know if Julian, you had a chance to experience another locker room. But when you walk in, it's just a totally different room. It's a different group of people, different personalities, and it was always, whether I was with the Jets, the Steelers, man, it was just always love. Philadelphia, Atlanta, we had a good time, man, and I still love those guys dearly to this day.
Now, do you get fired up when you hear the song "Sandman"?
Nah, I be hating.
I just remember
you didn't have the Sandman when I was there.
They
like,
wasn't there.
All this coolness when I'm in.
It's because you made the cool. You set the foundation for the cool.
Yeah, I root for Tech. I love my alma mater. You see me representing right now. When I hear Sandman, I'm like, I couldn't live that moment. I couldn't get a piece of that moment. You can't have everything.
You can't. You got to talk to us about Beamer ball. How's old Coach Beamer playing for him? I always had so much respect for him. He special teams guy, defense guy, and then you get to throw in Mike Vick on your team. That's like ridiculous. That's why you guys went to the Natty.
I was more so proud of the coach because, I looked at like the 15 years prior, and he was always every year just itching closer and closer to having a chance to compete for a national championship. It's hard to get there, in any sport. We all know it's just so competitive that, every game count, every moment count. And I think coach up until, that season have really made every year count and was well calculated, especially when it came to recruiting. When he was able to get me there and get a bunch of other good players around me. And we kind of came together with players. It was a good mix of us, guys from Florida, guys from Pennsylvania, a couple of guys from Georgia. It was just a good East Coast mix. And, we was able to take it one game at a time, and coach stayed in his lane. He was special teams. He was the defensive to a T. Bud Foster had that locked up. So coach didn't have to do anything really other than hold his special teams down and really just be a great leader of men, young men. And he did that to the best of his ability. And he came with a core little group of guys who respected him in the program enough to just, keep our heads into the game of football.
And you see the butterfly effect of having Michael Vick come to your school. As he just said, 15 years prior with Beam, they were matriculating, getting better year in year. But then you look at 2004 to 2011, Virginia Tech has 8 straight 10-plus winning seasons. I mean, who's that? That's just straight correlation to having Michael Vick come to your school, ball out, be an icon. What was it like being an icon at such a young age? having your own. I had your fucking shoes. I used to have your fucking jersey, the headband with the 7
Cover of Madden.
Yeah, I'm all ready for it, fellas. I'm all ready for it. It was just a lot, man. Being a kid from Newport News and like just didn't experience a lot in the world other than what I was accustomed to growing up in the neighborhood that I grew up in. And then, I'm a good football player to everybody in my hometown. And, I get put on the national stage and get some coaches who understood me and how to make me great. And they did that. And all of a sudden, I'm the first round pick. And, I got all these accolades and I'm ready to face a franchise. And, you just don't really know what that means at the age of 22. I can tell you this, though, if my son was to be put in that position, he'll be ready for it and equipped for it, and he's going to maximize it. He's going to, he try to transcend it to and be a generational type of talent. And, all the fruits of the labor that come along with it. So I was really young, but to look back and see that, look, there were so many people that believed in me. I think they deserve a lot of credit. I just tried to enjoy every moment of it and soak it all in. But I really wasn't ready for the media that came along with it. I wasn't ready for the attention that came along with it, the autographs. It was all, it got to a point where I was like, I just want to just play ball, man.
What was the peak of that? Like people hitting you up? I'm sure like a ton of celebrities are hitting you up.
Every corporate company calling, like, you don't realize how blessed you are until like years later you look back on it. Still blessed to this day. I don't take anything away, but it was overwhelming. It was overwhelming. Like I look back and I see why it was the game. I made the game look so different. It was like, this is the future.
But that's the thing. Like, I think Lamar Jackson's a beast. He's a monster. And we all see his talents each and every week. But the difference is those are a lot of like designed runs. Mike got his runs through like improvising. Like if it broke down, then he would take off. And he really did sit in that pocket and try to sling that thing as often as possible. It just so happened that like the 3 times that he went and ran, it'd be like for 95 yards. So like that's the difference.
So you'll take it. You'll take 95 yards.
Yeah, I'm gashing them when I take off. The legs fresh. When I started to realize, Julian, if I come out and exert some of my energy, not too much, because my receivers, I used to look at my receivers and I see how hard they work and them guys sacrificing, they running. Like, man, I'm going to reward these guys. We got to get on the same page, and it's the quickest way to advance the ball down the field. They professionals too. Whether I was in college, I'm like, when these dudes deserve it, they just running like the track team. So being on the same page with them was extremely important to me.
See, at least he gets that because he runs around. He gets how hard it is when you're tired to go to the next play. I remember going out and training with Brady, and he'd run me on like 70 fucking routes at 2-minute drill. Like that's how we would train. And I'm sitting there like dying, I'm just dying. I'm out of breath, and he's like, "Hey, babe, we got to keep it going." I'm like, "You're throwing the rock, bro. I'm over here running 55, 75 routes." Like, it's good to have a quarterback that understands that. Thank you.
Well, I think he did. It paid off, yo. It paid off quick, baby.
Well, it's nice to know you sacrificed so much for Tom. I hope he's listening so he knows how much you sacrificed, and maybe he'll want to come on Games with Names at some point.
It's so hard. We get Mike Vick. We get both the Peyton or the Mannings on the podcast. We get Brewski. Like whatever. We'll talk about
get
them.
I believe.
Seven Cities talk. What were those stairs? Is it in Richmond that I used to run? What were those stairs? There's a group of stairs or a hill. I went out there. I visited my boy that lived in Norfolk when I was in college.
Well, I don't know exactly where
Trash
that's
Trash Hill.
Okay, in Virginia Beach.
Virginia Beach.
Mount Trashmore, yes.
Mount Trashmore.
Yes. Excellent monument. Amazing monument.
It was like a landfill thing, and it was a big ass.
It's like Mount Rushmore, but with the shittier presidents.
Yeah, definitely. But we used to go up and run that thing, and you'd always hear the legends of like Vick and Iverson, all like the guys that come from the area.
2 dudes who are super fast, by the way, so that makes you want to run.
Yeah, we believe in that lower body strength.
Did you you play against Iverson in college or high school?
He 4 years before me. He 4 years ahead of me. So I just missed him. So when I came into high school, he was coming out.
He was supposed to be a pretty good quarterback, wasn't he?
Yeah, he had some game. Like I watched a couple of his film. We dug up a couple of his tapes. He looked real. He was solid. He was elusive. He was dual threat.
Heard he's good at baseball too.
Yeah,
Mike was good at baseball, weren't you?
He chose the right sport.
Mike, weren't you pretty good at baseball? I heard you played some baseball.
Yeah, I was decent in baseball. I couldn't bat. I got hit with a pitch when I was 8, and that, like, you know how to do, man. I couldn't recover from that. It was like mental trauma written all over. Lefty, I was bad in lefty. Never forget big dude named Cookie. He was like a seasoned veteran coming up. I couldn't hit a lefty, and he.
I'm okay. I'm okay at
right
baseball. I can't bat or field, but I could cheer.
Pulled it right in the eye. I was really good at it. I was really good at the outfield.
You probably covered a lot of ground. You ever play with yourself in Madden?
What's that?
Did you ever play with yourself in Madden?
Nah, I couldn't. It was hard for me. It was hard for me to try to do what I was doing on the field, the actual field, on Madden. Which I should have been the master of that. I feel like I should have been the master of that. But now I'm a lot better when I play with Lamar because I understand how to use Lamar, right? But yeah, I couldn't do it with me back in the day, man. So I used to get like Peyton and I used to get Tom and Drew. I wanted that big passing. Remember the passing vision back in the day? 0405, yeah, wide, super wide, mass, this there. But I had the moves. So it was take your pick.
We were doing some research and we were watching that Nike commercial with you, Don Shula, fucking Urlacher,
Steve Young,
Matt Leinart.
Yep.
Like, those were some of the dopest commercials, and you were like the lead.
Yeah, man. It was the league put me in an awesome position, man. They made me the face of the league. I was the face of the Atlanta Falcons franchise, and we did some pretty cool things together. I was on the race to cover Madden. Fortunate enough to be a part of that. You just don't grow up thinking that's gonna happen. So when that happened, I was, I got hit with the curse. I got hit with the bad curse. I missed the whole 3 season, but hey, it was a sacrifice. I made it through.
Everything happens for a reason, as long as we all learn from it. And just sitting here talking to Mike, man, just the humbleness. I mean, it's unreal. It really is fucking crazy to just get to sit down and talk with. I mean, he's one of the greats that literally has helped revolutionize this game in allowing guys that are athletic, that can take off and run, get opportunities to play quarterback. And if you look at the league now, even our pocket passers, the Mahomes, the Josh Allens, like the Lamars, all these guys, they can throw the fucking rock, but it's because of watching guys like Michael Vick. Hey, I could run the ball too, and that's a huge part of our game now, and it's largely because of you.
Mike, who are your guys? Like, who are your favorite quarterbacks coming up?
So Randall, John Elway, Steve Young, and who else? Those 3 was guys that I looked at my game like this. Like, man, people don't understand how good John Elway was. Like, John Elway was a dual threat before dual threat. Steve came along, and I was watching some of Steve highlights a couple weeks ago, and he had some pretty big runs. He was ripping off like 30-yarders and 40-yarders, and then, Cunningham came, and he took it next level. So I used to love more Moon because I wanted that pocket pass inside. Like, he was like so accurate and so smooth in it's just his throwing transition. He became one of the greats. So, just watching all those guys, and I just kind of like made it, just like put it all in the pot, mix it up, and like, I'm going to be a little bit of every single one of these guys.
There's an old saying, though, because I was a huge Niners guy. I grew up a huge Niners fan. I grew up in the Bay. And the word on the street is that Steve Young was the fastest guy on the team.
I believe it. I grew up in that. I listen. No, go look at those clips. Go look at those clips, Jay. You're going to see.
I lived them.
Bro,
I lived them.
Yeah.
But I was a little like we almost stopped becoming 49ers fans because we were Joe Montana people. It wasn't until Joe broke in or Steve broke in. I mean, that was like a huge.
I
Joe
went through that transition.
Joe was literally like fucking. He was like a Brady type. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yes.
And then they moved on, and it just the cutthroat of this business. You gotta do what's best for the team, and they did that. And Steve got his opportunity and ran with it.
Well,
But how like did you always feel like you were like the fastest guy in the field, the most elusive guy? Like you weren't looking at the guy in front of you, because I know this as a runner. You're not looking at it. You're looking at the three dudes past him, because he's automatically gonna get shook.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
is that how it was?
I knew I was the most elusive. It was a highlight I had in college, and a play that I never forget. At high school, excuse me, a play I never forget. And I went back and watched the tape, and I made a move on like 4 different people, 4 defenders. And my high school coach was watching the tape together, and he looked at me and he was like, you know, that just people just don't do moves like this. You're probably playing in the NFL making moves like this. So right then and there, I wasn't fast. It was just a elusive, quick. I was more
You were
quick than I
fast.
was
You were
fast. Yeah.
talking from a non-athlete here. It was incredibly fast.
But I always got caught. Like if I broke out, scrambling, I broke out, I always would get caught. So I never feel like I had the long speed. It was more so I could get off him, I can get away from him. And then it's up to you to turn on your jets. So I
Do you
always
really
knew I
not
was
consider yourself
mostly-
fast?
No,
There's
I
two
never.
types of
No, I
speeds.
never. Yeah, it might sound weird, but I never considered myself fast, more quick. And to actually answer Julian's question, just the most athletic, the more agile athlete on the field. I felt like I was that. Like in a box, you're not gonna get me in a box. I'm gonna get away from it.
I just wish that I would make 80-yard runs in the National Football League and then still have the audacity to say I'm not fast.
If you're not fast, I'm a quadriplegic.
on
All right.
I was a loop. And so that big run against Minnesota that people like to talk about is one of my least favorites, but it was an incredible highlight. Only because, like, circumstances of how it all happened. And then I had to I did a lot in that run, and I was really running for my life, like just trying to run into the end zone with them. I went through 2 dudes trying not to get smashed. I'm like, yo, this is kamikaze. This is crazy. But this is what I do. This is what I get paid for. So my athleticism got me through them. And then I just shot through a gap, and was able to, but it looked fast. I get it.
And you can't forget, I mean, the dude had a fucking laser as an arm.
Oh yeah, I remember on ESPN they would just throw how far you could gun it. It was like 70 yards.
I still could throw it. I still could rip it.
Well, we might have to get up, run some routes then. I can still run them a couple.
Let's do it.
Maybe I can come back, may need a lefty over here to throw to me a couple times. We can go maybe line up on the line, see where I'm at.
I'll hold up an iPhone just to feel useful.
Yeah, you can come back. I'm not coming back. And I got the bread, like shit and everything. It's all.
Hey,
Only certain people can do it.
That's wisdom. Those grays on your chin are wisdom. Now, where does this game rank in your Hokie career? Was this the one that kind of like it was the comeback at the end of the year against a team that shouldn't have been there, but you guys still were able to battle it off, go and get the win when you guys weren't playing necessarily your best football? Sometimes they're the ones that fucking springboard you in to like your groove.
Yeah, it was the last game of the season against Boston College is the one that I really remember for the whole year. Obviously, the first game of the season against James Madison was my first start. It was my debut. And, I played one amazing half of football, a hell of a half of football, and then I got injured. And then I came back and I was sort of like, I was hurt. I injured my ankle and I was hurt throughout the season, so it was never really a comfort level. Even though I was able to accomplish a lot into the last game against Boston College, where I felt like I came into that game completely healthy. And it was a game we had to win in order to even be considered to play the national championship. And I think I went 13, 15, 217 yards, 3 touchdowns, like super focused, locked in. Ankle wasn't bothering me. And like that game is the game I remember. I remember the sun setting, and at the end of the game, the crowd rushed the field, and student body level they ripped the goalposts down. It was one of them nights, man. And we worked so hard that year to get there, man, and the preparation we all put in together, man. Like, we was able to celebrate that as a team, man. And it's nothing like a team celebration.
Man, well, Mike, I appreciate you for playing the way you did, for growing as you have, for being the guy you are, and for coming on Games with Names, bro. I appreciate it, man.
Games with Names, it's official. I love the background.
Hey,
I'm working on mine.
We got to get you.
I'm working on mine, so
send us a pic, an autographed pic or something. We'll throw it on the wall.
You send us something. I'll send you something if you want something. I got a Kent State Golden Flash jersey. We went 6 and I believe we went like 4 and 6 my senior year. So like, if you want, like to trade, fucking.
It's a story behind it. That's all that matters.
That's all that matters.
Yeah, absolutely.
I appreciate you, my bro.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on. Let me know if you ever need anything. What's the legacy of this game?
Just that Michael Vick this is Michael Vick before he became the Michael Vick we knew.
This is the Michael Vick developing into the Michael Vick that we knew.
Because we saw him, as you say, stay in the pocket, but we also saw him go for some fucking runs.
Yeah, like the last drive where he goes, like he's looking downfield, last second, you think, oh, he's probably going to get 6-7 yards, ends up being a 30-yard gain, sets up Graham for a easy field goal. They go on to win, conclude the season with a win in Boston College, get the undefeated regular season, playing a national championship against Chris Winkie and those Florida State Seminoles.
Winkie.
Freaking Winkie. This rivalry got cooled down over the few years of burning couches, borderline riots. I mean, anytime you get a bunch of West Virginians against Virginians, not from that part of the country, but I can only imagine.
It's amazing when places are just like right here and they just hate each other. Your neighbors, and you're just like, fuck you.
That's like
everything.
That's everywhere.
That's sports.
It's
the Middle East.
That's Serbia and Croatia.
Yeah.
And half the time they're the same people.
Yeah. I mean, the Middle East, they're both eating the same shit. You're both making falafel.
Great hummus.
Yeah.
But that's the life we live in.
Yeah. It's the world.
It's a fucked up world.
It's a fucked up world. I didn't know we were going global with this shit, but we did. That's the type of stuff you can expect to get from Games with Names. It's not just games with names. It's geopolitical whatever. We'll do it.
Geopolitical whatever. We'll do it.
So, Mike Vick, revolutionary athlete, paved the way for guys. You got to give him at least a nod if you're Pat Mahomes.
I think with the improv skill and being able to extend plays, keeping your eyes downfield, I mean, every little kid wanted to be Michael Vick, and you're getting all these athletic quarterbacks now that are pocket passers, but they're still guys that know how to run. And a lot of that is probably because of Michael Vick and Randall Cunningham and guys in the back pass. Sure. We're not going to have recency bias, but Michael Vick took it to a whole nother level.
And it's cool to hear him say that he likes Steve Young, because I can see that.
Yeah, 100 lefty, scramble quarterback.
Yeah,
winner, fast guys. I mean, it's pretty crazy, and it's also nuts to see the Michael Vick effect on Virginia Tech. As before, he was saying Beamer was getting it going. They were doing better and better. They go to the national championship in his redshirt freshman year, and then after that, they go to 27 straight bowls. They have 2004 to 2019, 8 straight freaking 10-win seasons. That has to be because of Michael Vick.
Yeah.
But they still don't have that natty trophy.
They haven't gotten it. But is he the most electric NFL player ever?
He's up there. I mean, when Michael Vick played in games, you watched.
Yeah.
Because at any moment, It didn't matter what play, what down and distance. Like, he could do something special.
Yeah.
You know, he's got that same thing like, you know, Randy Moss or you know, Lamar Jackson, these guys that are just so athletically gifted and such great football players and have made so many big type plays in big time situations where you just don't know if they're going to do something that you see usually on a video game. It could happen at any moment.
It literally felt like cheat code shit that just shouldn't happen in real life when he played.
And then him not even playing with himself in Madden because he didn't like his vision tunnel.
Yeah.
Play with Brady and Manning. What a guy.
I always thought about that in video games. Like when you played, would you ever play with yourself?
Always. And I'm throwing every time to me.
Yeah.
Every time. I played with I played a game against Snoop in this little Madden Bowl a year ago or something or sometime. I played with the Pats. I think who did he play with? The Chiefs or something? I think I had like 22 catches, 200 yards, 5 touchdowns.
You had a Megatron game?
I was a Minitron game, but yeah. Jack, did we forget anything?
We came up short of the prop bet.
Ooh.
Only one Beamer ball. That's all right, though. We were talking about Carlos Santana and Rob Thomas and Smooth. That won 3 Grammys that year. Best Pop Collaboration.
Wow.
Record of the Year. Song of the Year. So good year for those two dudes. Tiger won his first PGA Tour event, the 1996 Vegas Invitational. Posted a 27 under.
I can't imagine what happened in that city.
Hey.
Not a bad place to win your first. For all you people counting at home, we had 2 quadriplegic mentions this episode. So that's a record, I think, so far. A pronunciation check. Pokemon cards, not Pokemon.
I said Pokemon?
I believe that was Jules. But I do like saying man better. It's more fun that way.
Well, let's ask the cards how they identify.
And then last thing, we mentioned Jason Segel with forgetting Sarah Marshall, and in a 2008 New York Times interview, he did allude to the fact that this was inspired by his breakup with Linda Cardellini.
Linda Cardellini.
I needed a pronunciation check there.
Yeah. You know, Redwood City native, you know.
Big fan. She was great in Grandma's Boy.
She was really good in Grandma's
And Mad
Boy.
Men. She was like late season of Mad Men. She crushed it.
He was quoted as saying about the breakup, "This is hilarious. I can't wait for her to leave so I can write this down."
Wow. Yeah, because his dick was out, right? That was the
that was-
scene. His dick was out in that movie when she dumped him. He was butt naked. So that must be what he's referring to.
Wow.
That is the mind of a...
Who was the rock star?
I don't know.
Who was it? A rock star that she was dating?
Let's see. I'll have to do a little more
A
digging.
little
on
more
that.
digging. But, Russell Brand killed that role.
He
And
did.
and that's also, that is
Jonah
such
Hill.
That's such a... Oh, yeah.
He was low key like super funny.
But that's like the mind. That's a comedian's mind where something bad happens and you're like, all right, good. Like on some level, good, because I can use it, you know? You have to think that way. It makes bad things hurt less,
Content.
you know? Content.
It's content, baby. That's a joke right there.
I remember I had a breakup once and I was crying when she left me and I got hard. Well, and I was like, oh, this is a bit. So you have that moment where you're like, all right, thank God. Boner while crying. I'm writing it down. I got a joke here.
Yeah. I mean, anytime I got broken up with, I would just put on like slow, soppy music and
What was your song?
a lot of Casey and JoJo. Oh, my love.
I love
pray for
it.
someone let's name this game.
The Miracle in Morgantown. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean it's the Miracle in Morgantown, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, that's what we got. I mean, we got to score it. Let's get to we'll talk about it more. It's scoring.
What do you think is better, the Miracle in Morgantown or the Jamestown Massacre? which is better name recognition?
I'm gonna go with the Jamestown Massacre for 200 points, sir.
Stakes pretty high.
This is high for a Virginia Tech team that has never been to national championship, that was going undefeated, but they were playing against. I mean, it was a rival game.
So which yeah, they have a low record, sub 500, but they are a rival. So stakes what, 7.5?
7-5.
Yeah,
Star power, Mike.
but it's mostly Mike.
It's mostly Mike.
5. Kyler, what do you think?
6.
Well, that we can't. That was a curve. Clearly, we can't just say what. That's a
gameplay.
Good ending.
Great ending.
Yeah.
That last scramble.
Rough first half. So it's like you got to scratch that. I go like not super high. Not amazing gameplay. Low scoring.
Yeah, low score. I mean, you think of Michael Vick, you think of explosion touchdowns. There wasn't many of those, so I'm gonna say probably 6.5.
Yeah, that's right.
The name
5.
What's our grand total, Jackie? Here?
6. Oh, a flat 6.
Flat 6.
Wow.
This is a good episode, though.
He was very good.
You know, it's good. It's good to hear from, guys like Michael Vick about their collegiate days before they were icons, which I think we called him an icon maybe 47 times. That's what we should have made the prop bet on. An over/under of icon, calling Michael Vick an icon, and I would have set it at probably 32. And that's all for this episode of Games with Names, presented by WynnBET. So thank you to all our listeners.
And our sponsors.
And our sponsors, of course. Go on and follow us at Games with Names on all the social platforms. Enjoy, like, click, review, unsubscribe, then resubscribe. I'm Julian Edelman.
I'm Sam Morril. Thank you for listening.
And we'll see you guys, folks, people, later.